Hey New York City, Steven from the Novelizers here with amazing news. We're having our first Novelizers live show ever at Caveat in Manhattan, featuring some of our favorite scenes from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, narrated by Dave Hill, John Benjamin, and more. It's happening Wednesday, July 9th, 7 p.m. at Caveat. The Novelizers Live. Go to caveat.nyc for details and to buy tickets. See you there.
This week on the show, Rob Kutner and Sheryl Zohn, Jane Brucker, Bethany Hall, plus me, Dave Hill, currently suffering from some dick stuff. Who writes this? It's the Novelizers.
Don't want your popcorn, don't want your milk duds, don't want my shoes stuck in pools of sticky cola. Don't show me romance, don't show me fist fights, just show me words printed out under the book lights. Yeah, baby, novelize the movie. Give me sentences, paragraphs, nothing to see. Novelize the movie. Write a book and turn it into a podcast.
Welcome to the Novelizers. We've got a great show that mentions dick stuff. What? What the hell? And
Continue.
we have a special surprise guest in the studio this week. You'll never guess who it is. Steve Agee, back for a record 15th episode in a
4
row.
or 5, yeah. Hey guys, good
Thanks
to
so
see
much
you.
for coming on the show.
Good to be back.
And if that weren't enough Steves, and it's not, we have a third Steve this week. Hollywood Steve Huey.
Hi.
Hi there.
Welcome, Steve.
Welcome to the
Oh,
Novelizers.
hi, it's me, Hollywood Steve, host of the Yacht Rock web series.
Yeah. We have a great episode of the Novelizers today. Rob Kutner is a producer for the Novelizers, this very show. He's written for Conan and The Daily Show. Sheryl Zohn is an Emmy-nominated writer, TV producer, and podcaster based in L.A. Jane Brucker is an actress best known for her leading role as Lisa Houseman, Baby's sister, in this very film, Dirty Dancing. She also appears in Stealing Home and was in the original Broadway cast of Brighton Beach Memoirs. Bethany Hall is a comedian, actress, and writer who appeared as a producer on 30 Rock and was a writer for The Chris Gethard Show. Steve, where are we in our story?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Lisa walks in on Robbie sleeping with Mrs. Pressman. When leaving Robbie's cabin later, Mrs. Pressman witnesses Baby and Johnny kissing on the mouth.
Whoa.
Mrs. Pressman gets Johnny in trouble by framing him for stealing her husband's wallet, but Baby saves Johnny by revealing that she was with him all night, probably doing butt stuff. Much to Doc's disappointment. That catches us up.
Jane Brucker. Novelize me.
Dirty Dancing, Chapter 14, Lisa's Turn. Novelized by Rob Kutner and Sheryl Zohn. Narrated by Jane Brucker. As I march down the gravel towards Robbie's cabin to finally do the deed, everything is perfect. The moon, the sweet mountain air, my silk-flowered dress, and of course, my beige iridescent lipstick. Soon, Robbie's manhood will be beige and iridescent too. I climb the stairs to door number 16 and do my final lip check. I know that nothing is going to ruin this perfect night. Not even that weird towel hanging on Robbie's doorknob. Can doorknobs spring leaks? Doesn't matter. Tonight is going to be the most romantic night since Romeo and Juliet. And then I'll become the Jackie to Robbie's JFK, and we will live just as happily ever after. I knock on the door and call out, "Robbie, it's me." But there's no answer. No sound at all, except for the odd mechanical piano noises of a futuristic love song. Yes, we're gonna make love's gonna be tonight. The song from the future knows my heart. I push the door open, only to find two sets of eyes staring back at me. One belongs to Robbie, who lies shirtless on his bed. Is it lay shirtless on his bed? I can't remember. The other eye set belongs to an elderly crone who must be at least 35. It's Mrs. Pressman. Despite her advanced age, that dark-haired interloper is somehow perched on top of Robbie. And she is almost certainly naked beneath that tastefully pulled-up bedsheet she clutches with her armpits. My jaw drops open, and I immediately close the door in disgust. Why would Robbie do this to me? Doesn't he realize he missed his chance to deflower the soon-to-be ingenue of the end-of-the-season talent show? I would have hula-hawned all over his body, and he could whack if he'd let me. As I stumble away, alone with my humiliation, I have one small consolation. At least I wasn't like Baby, all alone in her room. She is definitely still a virgin. The next morning at the breakfast table, I do my best to hide my disappointment from my family and the Kellermans. Mr. Kellerman is waving his cigar around, which brings me back to last night, but no, that cigar is just a cigar. I try to focus on Neil Kellerman, who is sitting next to me. He is telling a story about Mo Pressman's wallet going missing during a late-night pinochle game. I am surprisingly riveted by Neil. How did I not notice him before? I start to wonder what it'd be like to be perched on top of him while clutching a bedsheet with my armpits. But then Mr. Kellerman pulls me out of my fantasy by mentioning you-know-who. Vivian thinks she remembers this kid Johnny walking by. Huh! As if she can remember anything at her creeping advanced age. She probably can't tell him apart from the nurse who changes her bedpan. Neil says Johnny Dancer told the Kellermans he was alone in his room all night reading. Just like me, I think, bitterly. Not only did Robbie cheat on me with a grandmother, she forced me to spend a perfectly good summer night alone and reading. That bastard. Neil points out that Johnny doesn't have any books in his room. Zing! Yes, Johnny definitely does not look like the bookish type. But Neil is so quick and witty, and his mouth, it's so oval-shaped. I smile my biggest, I'm interested, smile at Neil. But Baby starts arguing with him, going on about wallets and sheldrakes. Neil doesn't even see my smile. Why does Baby always steal everything I want? Luckily, Mr. Kellerman decides to take a cigar and go yell at the busboys. So Baby goes to whine at Daddy. Neil turns back to me. I take a forkful of eggs from my plate and eat them seductively. You see these eggs, Neil? My exquisitely expressive eyes tell him. There's a lot more eggs where those come from. Only they're down below, and then my eyes stop and think, you know what? Let's not make this light-hearted Catskills vacation romance about an out-of-wedlock pregnancy. Then Mr. Kellerman interrupts my inner monologue by waving around a pastry, shouting, "This Danish is pure protein," which is utterly ridiculous. It's pronounced protein. The eggs in my mouth are pure protein, which Neil would know if he would just look at them. Neil, why don't you look at my mouth eggs? But now Neil is listening to Baby again, arguing about Johnny Dancer and the wallet. Who cares about a stupid wallet? Doesn't anybody realize this vacation is almost over and I'm still a virgin? Baby says maybe that nice old couple took the wallet, and that makes Daddy get mad at her. Good. Daddy's mad at Baby again. This is literally the only source of my joy nowadays. Well, if only, there was a way I could harness it for good. Mr. Kellerman asks Neil to come with him to fire Johnny. Oh, I want to watch Neil fire someone. Ending somebody's employment is so manly, so presidential. But before Neil can flex his powerful management muscles, Baby defends Johnny Dancer again. I know Johnny was in his room all night. And the reason I know is because I was with him. I spit an entire mouthful of criminally underappreciated high-protein eggs out of my still beige iridescent fleck, fully prepared to say I do to Neil, or at least I'll do Neil, mouth. But as usual, no one, not even the literal owner of this resort, standing 2 feet away from me, even notices as I spatter the immaculate white tablecloth with egg bits. Because Kel Surprise, once again, the star of the moment is precious little Baby. Daddy's perfect little girl, his pure angel of virtue, and... Wait, what did she say she did with Johnny? Baby? Before me? Give me that high-protein Danish!
Thank you, Jane Brucker. We'll be right back after this.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
We're back. Each week on the show, we interview someone who worked on the film Dirty Dancing. Let's hear that interview now.
Welcome, everybody, to the interview portion of the Novelizers. I am Kevin Carter, and I'm here with the wonderful Bethany Hall, who was the talent show director for the movie Dirty Dancing. Bethany, how's it going today?
Going good. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It means a lot.
Not a problem. We've interviewed a lot of people here on the show, and I was like, we never really talked to that person, the person who put that talent show together, because we know that's one of the most climactic periods of the movie. I'm glad you were able to join us today.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for acknowledging that. I feel like a lot of people who've seen the movie don't really appreciate the artistry of the talent show.
Yeah.
And I do feel like the movie would not have had the same impact, had I not directed the talent show.
And I agree. As I watched the movie for the first time a month ago, I saw it and I was like, well, the whole movie is based off the talent show. Like, everything leads to the talent show. And I got with some of the directors here at the podcast, things like that. And I was like, we're fucking missing out, guys. We're missing it's a huge plot hole in this story that we're trying to create. And why isn't she here? So I had to fight a few people. We did a nice little fight club situation. I lost a couple, but I did win. I won the big ones, and you're here. So I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. It's really music to my ears to be acknowledged properly. As a professional talent show director, I do feel that I was misled in some ways about what was supposed to be happening and what actually happened. And while I'm very proud of the work, all of these years later, I still carry some really heavy feelings. And you're honestly the first person who's asked to hear more about my experience. And that means a lot. Just as an artist, that means a lot.
I'm letting you know now, as we do this interview, don't be afraid. Let it out. It's okay. It's okay. I have big shoulders.
Oh.
God created them for people to cry on them. So don't worry. It's all right. So my question to you, what is it about directing talent shows that gives you that sense of fulfillment?
Yes. I was at my third graders' talent show in an auditorium, as they typically are. And I was thinking, this is hideous. This needs help. These children do not know what they're doing. And how dare any institution leave it up to a poor teacher who's overworked to try and put on such a piece of art as a talent show. How is a teacher supposed to know how many gymnasts is too many, or the variety of modern music that should be portrayed? It's just a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm. And so I went right up to the PTA and I said, I will take it from here. And from that point on, other schools, other communities heard about the work I was doing. And they reached out to me over and over again, can you come here? Can you come there? And I'll say, if you've enjoyed a talent show in the last 35 years or so, chances are that I had an impact on it,
That's good. I will say, at least as I was growing up, the talent shows they're not really talent shows. It's more like, here, baby, go do something in front of people. It's not really talent. But I've noticed, so now that you say that, I did notice the probably time I hit middle school and high school, I started to notice the difference. It was a shift when it comes to the quality of the talent shows. And it's good to know that you had a hand in that, for sure.
I always think we're not going to leave this world and be remembered by name, but we will be remembered by the fingerprint we've left on society. And I really do think the art of crafting wonderful talent shows is my contribution.
Can you walk us through what happened for you to get on such a cultural shifting movie as Dirty Dancing? Like, how did that happen for you to get that job?
Yes, it's a little bit ironic because my job as a talent show director is to find the talent and to assemble them. The school might say, we have 4 great artists here, but then I need to round out the rest of the details. So I go to other states sometimes to find the right people. So it was a little bit ironic or poetic, perhaps, that the folks from Kellerman's, they actually came up to me and said, we hear that you're the best of the best, which I humbly accept that acknowledgement. And we need somebody to direct this talent show. And so, of course, it was my honor to be part of it. They let me know it was going to be filmed, but nobody throughout the entire process alerted me to the fact that it was actually for a movie.
Oh.
And so when Johnny and Baby interrupted the show that I had labored over for several weeks, you can imagine how that left me feeling. I had artists in the wings waiting to do their performance, and we never saw them.
Yeah, after Baby and Johnny ruined everything, movie's over.
They interrupted, they cleared the chairs before the show had hardly gotten started,
So how did it feel? Because to me, it seemed like the entire talent show group up to that point, all the people that was part of the talent up to that point, was in on it. Because everybody broke out dancing and being a part of everything. Like, how did it feel? Because it seemed like your heart and joy, what you really enjoy so much, was crumbling. And nobody let you know. Even the talent didn't even let you know. How did that feel?
Kevin, you are hitting the nail on the head. That is why I have very mixed feelings about this movie, Dirty Dancing. Because on the one hand, I thought it was a beautiful movie. I enjoyed watching it. And on the other, I feel like, was I the first person to be pranked on camera? It felt like I was introduced to Lisa and Max, not by their actor names, but by their character names. And I had no idea. And I worked with Lisa on Hula Hana for several days. And she never once told me she
never
was
said a word. Do you feel a sense of betrayal?
I feel betrayal and pride. And it's hard to have both of those emotions.
Yes. So where's the pride come in at?
When you watch Dirty Dancing and you hear Hula Hana, you can be in the shower 3 weeks later and that song will creep into your head. And so I know that my art has penetrated individuals across the country for generations. And I think Lisa is one of the greatest talents I've ever worked with. She looked so beautiful in her costume. And portrayed a real sense of Hawaiian culture, and I'm proud of that. And then, of course, with Kellerman's, join hearts and hands and voices, hearts and hands. Those were my lyrics, and I am proud that the country, even other parts of the world, have heard my lyrics. And no other project that I've worked on has reached so far.
Yes. And I will say that to me, it just feels like Dirty Dancing is a movie that could essentially last forever.
Mhm.
Right. I'm pretty sure there's some third world countries that they just got it on the VCR and they're just watching it for the first time, now. And it's brand new to them, and that means your talent and your ability will live on forever.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes. And I think about that too. I think, these third world babies who are going to watch this, and maybe they will decide that they too want to put on a talent show, that they too could manage the art of assembling talent and understanding the rhythm and the pacing of what makes a wonderful display into a show of talent, And so I hope that I inspire children from all different walks of life.
For those who don't understand the process of directing a talent show, can you explain to people what all goes into putting on something like that?
I'd love to do that, Kevin. Yeah. It first starts with being brought into a community that needs a talent show or a school, or recognizing a desert, a talentless desert that could be inspired should they have a talent show. So the first thing is the location, generally. After that, I say, okay, what does this town do best? Sometimes it's cheerleading. Other times, there's a dance studio just blocks away, and I know, okay, we've got dancers. Sometimes there's a great celloist, and I say, well, absolutely, that person needs to be involved. So I start to assemble, and sure, I hold auditions, but most of the time, the children who audition for these shows are not up to enough.
Yeah, I can only assume that even before the auditions, you know who you want to have in the talent show. Yeah.
And I think that's part of what makes a great talent show director. You know what you're looking for.
I look at it like people looking for a job. It's like, we're going to put the application out here for people to give resumes, but we've already hired our person.
You know who we've hired. I've toured children all the way from New Mexico to Pittsburgh, because if you've got it, you've got it. And if you want to put on a show, you get those children's permits for working,
Yeah. But were you always disorganized as a child? Like putting things together? Like, was this always you?
Not only am I very organized, but also I carry boatloads of talent in this 125-pound body that I walk around in, Like I myself can sing. And I've been known to play a ditty on the harmonica. I also was a cheerleader, and to this day am able to do a cartwheel. So I know what talent is.
When it comes to Patrick Swayze, did you know Patrick Swayze was in the talent show? Did you even cast him at the talent show? Like
it was very embarrassing for me because no, I did not know he was going to charge the stage.
Okay.
With Jennifer Grey, whose name I later learned. And then, obviously, he is a phenomenal dancer. So I was happy to incorporate him into the show. I wish they would have addressed it in a different way.
Yeah.
After the disruption, Patrick Swayze came up to me and he said, sorry about that. I apologize. Looks like you've created something really beautiful here. But of course, at the time, I thought his name was Johnny. So I was just in my head trying to figure out why this man looked so familiar,
How's life been for you after Dirty Dancing? Are you still doing talent shows? Have you done other movies? Like what's life for Bethany right now?
Talent shows is my passion. Whether it's for a world-renowned movie or a few folks up in Maine, you can't pull me away from directing talent shows. So has anyone invited me onto a movie set again? No. And perhaps it's because of the words I had with the director.
Yeah. Which is valid.
But I think that was a moment of my life. I've processed it. I've digested it. As I've said before, I'm proud of it and betrayed, feel betrayed. But that doesn't stop me from directing talent shows throughout the country.
Bethany, this has been a great conversation, and I want to thank you for joining us today. This is good. You really filled a huge hole for the listener when it comes to the movie and this podcast that we're doing. So I want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you again.
All right, everybody. You've been listening to the Novelizers. You guys take care.
Special thanks to Rob Kutner and Sheryl Zohn, Jane Brucker, and Bethany Hall.
And also Hollywood Steve Huey. We brought you here to work, not to play. And that work is to tell us if the theme song to Dirty Dancing, I Had the Time of My Life, is Yacht Rock. And I think it is, because I don't have much of an understanding of Yacht Rock, but I think the vocals it's smooth and the guy's kind of croons. That's all it takes to make Yacht Rock, right?
Wrong. There's endless nuances to what constitutes Yacht Rock, which I and the other core web series folks explore every week on our show, the Yacht or Yacht podcast, where we rate songs on a scientific scale called the Yachtski scale from 1 to 100 to determine whether or not they are yacht rock or Yacht rock, as the case may be. You can go to yachtoryacht.com to find out what songs we've already rated.
All right, you better drop this in your feed with that much promotion, self-promotion. Do you need some kind of quorum of you Yacht Rock guys to do this, or can you alone rate this song?
If it's close, then we might need a quorum. But if it's something like this that arrives kind of after the Yacht Rock era, pretty much, then it's pretty easy to judge. We've done a couple hundred episodes at least of that show. We kind of have an idea in our heads. But so, in a nutshell, what makes a song Yacht Rock, and we go into this in the HBO Max documentary.
Oh my God.
Which is still available on streaming right now on Max. It's called Yacht Rock, a documentary, DOCK. Get it? Anyway.
Oh, wow.
The main thing that makes a song Yacht Rock is sort of the influence of traditionally black music like jazz and R&B. That's kind of the main determining factor for us, the creators of the term Yacht Rock. And so when you have a song, and it also, it's kind of the house sound of the LA session musician community from around 1976 to 1984. A lot of guys who played on Steely Dan records or worked with guys who played on Steely Dan records. And so when you get kind of out of the era, like after 1984, things start to get a little dicier. The production changes. It's more kind of canned. It's more synthesizer heavy. It doesn't have quite the same smoothness as the prime era of Yacht Rock, where the main keyboard is the Fender Rhodes electric piano, and it's all just, oh man, this is so relaxing. This is a song that it's a little more produced to be at home on late 80s adult contemporary radio. And so we kind of think of that stuff as just, oh, this is just straight up adult contemporary. It's not the very specific flavor of soft rock that we would consider Yacht Rock.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot. Pretend you're a high school debate captain and your assignment has been prove that this is Yacht Rock. How would you do it?
All right. So the song does have connections to Yacht Rock. And so the song was co-written by a guy named Frankie Previtt, who spells his first name with no I, so it's just Frank with an E on the end. And we like to pronounce it as Franca, to give it the German pronunciation on the Yacht or Yacht podcast. That's just one example of the madcap hijinks we get up to on that show. And I also had to go listen to him pronounce his last name on YouTube before this, because there's like 5 different ways I could think of to pronounce Previte if you're an Italian guy from Jersey. But it's Frankie Previtt, and he used to be in kind of a yacht-leaning adult contemporary band in the early 80s called Frankie and the Knockouts. And they had a top 10 hit, I think it was in 1981, called Sweetheart. And if you listen to Sweetheart, it's kind of this, it's got one foot in 2 different camps. It's got one foot back in the 50s. It's got this kind of like the kind of doo-wop kind of triplet pulse to it. But it's also kind of at home with the newer sound on post-disco radio in 1981. And so we listen to this triplet pulse, and we hear it in a lot of Yacht Rock songs too. It's kind of this connection to the old style that these growing up baby boomers were comfortable with, but it was kind of mellowing out for a new era now that they were adults and having kids and settling down and all this. So we listened to it and we were like, yeah, that sounds like Yacht Rock. It's the same kind of triplet pulse that we hear in a lot of Toto songs, for example, or some Doobie Brothers like Minute by Minute, or, Toto's Hold the Line. It's got that same kind of beat to it. And we're like, yeah, this is from the era. It doesn't have any session stars from LA on it because they're a band from Jersey. But this is, this fits. This fits the zeitgeist of the time. So we put it on the boat, as we like to say. Now, Franca and the Knockouts, they didn't have a real long career. They did like 3 albums, had a couple more top 40 hits, and then they kind of fell apart. And Franca Pravite, he started writing some new material with some writing partners of his, and it's kind of kept the faith, kept the fire, kept on going. And then a fellow by the name of Jimmy Einer, whose last name pronunciation I also had to look up because it's Ienner. He apparently knew Franca, and he got put in charge of doing this movie soundtrack for this Patrick Swayze film. And back then, movie soundtracks were kind of ways, a guy would get put in charge of producing a movie soundtrack and he'd be like, I don't know. And he'd start calling up all his old friends who needed work. And sometimes there was a way to get these older, more veteran musicians on MTV. You didn't have to put the older guy in the video. You could just use the video as a promotional clip for the movie, and then everybody makes a lot of money. So that's
just like we do on this podcast, basically.
Oh, you're paying me? Fantastic. So the whole idea for Dirty Dancing was it was going to be mostly oldies, but they needed like a new song or two to kind of get something on the radio and MTV to promote the movie.
And boy, did it work.
Jimmy calls up Franca, and Franca's been working on some new material, and some of that material, and Hungry Eyes was one of those songs. He wrote that he thought he was going to be singing that one himself. He ended up writing it for Eric Carmen, former lead singer of the power pop group The Raspberries, who was another old friend of Jimmy Einer's. Jimmy was like, "Hey, Frankie, I know I told you we was going to do this song, but I was going to give this. I'm just going to give it to Eric Carmen instead. He needs work." And Frankie was like, "Well, shit, I guess okay. That's my reenactment for you. There, you get you get entire scenes off the top of my head." So yeah, then Frankie and his writing partners they write this original song for the movie. And for the big climactic final dance scene where they do the lift,
we know that scene well.
Yeah, originally they were going to put a Lionel Richie song in there, and then somebody thought better of it. Yeah, and they were trying I think a bunch of different songs, and they got this demo from Franca and his cohorts, and they were like, "Oh, hey, this works." And they shot that scene to the demo version of the song, and then they substituted in the final recorded version with Bill Medley of the Righteous Brothers and Jennifer Warnes, who was a kind of an LA singer who she was kind of a crop of ladies who were trying to follow in the footsteps of Linda Ronstadt, vocal style wise. And Jennifer had just done an entire covers album of Leonard Cohen songs. So she was kind of back in on people's radar. And that's how Jimmy Einer tapped her. He was having a problem getting Bill Medley, but Jennifer basically said, "Hey, I want to sing with Bill Medley from the Righteous Brothers. That'd be really cool. I'll only do it if he does it." So Jimmy brought that to Bill Medley, and Bill Medley was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll do this song for this movie. Dirty Dancing. Sounds like a porno." So yeah, then they recorded the song, and the movie was a big hit, and then the song was a big hit. It went to number 1, won an Oscar for Best Song, and so even though we don't consider it yacht rock, it has its roots in the yacht rock scene from a few years earlier. Just to tie that all back in.
I know more about that song than I know about anything else at this point. It's so much information. just to be told it's not Yacht Rock. But we heard it here from the expert.
There's always many, many nuances that can be explored at great length as to why a song is Yacht Rock or Yacht Rock.
I feel like that took longer than actually writing the song, but it was fascinating. Yeah,
Sure.
My personal experience with that song is a friend of ours got married some years ago, and some of us played as a live band at his wedding, and that was one of the songs that we played. And I don't remember whether they tried to do a lift or not. I think they may have, and then
how could you not really?
I think maybe they tried it and then thought better of it. But I got to play the sax solo from that song, and I mostly didn't screw it up live. And it's a little bit challenging at the end.
That's a big ask of your wedding guests.
Yeah, I mean, but we want to do a good job if we're given a job to do.
Well, thanks for all that information. I would ask you where we can listen to your podcast, but you've already told us several times.
It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and whatever other places that fine podcasts are cast.
So wherever I get my podcasts, sounds
wherever
like.
Wherever you get your podcasts. We also have another show called the Beyond Yacht Rock podcast, where instead of talking about yacht rock, we talk about we make up other genres, give them new names, and then count down the top 10 songs in them. Because, hey, another one of these has to hit sometime, right? Right? We need another hit. We're all getting old.
Yep. Thank you, Hollywood Steve Huey.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Steve.
Bye, Steve.
Bye, everybody.
Next week, we're excited to have Jason Mantzoukas from The League and How Did This Get Made narrating our chapter, with Tony Zaret joining us for the interview.
Booyah!
See you then. The Novelizers is hosted by Dave Hill with Stephen Levinson and produced by Stephen, Cole Emhoff, Graham Douglas, Kevin Carter, Christine Bullen, Dennis DeClaudio, and Rob Kutner, and distributed by Cincinnati Public Radio. Mixed and edited by Graham Douglas, music by Cole Emhoff, art direction by Crystal Dennis, theme song written by Andrew Lynn and performed by Nick Testa. Follow the Novelizers on Threads, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and support us on Patreon. The Novelizers is an unauthorized work of parody. Copyright 2025, Novelizers LLC.